Good.
We'll call the Center County Board of Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, May 30th to order here at 10 o'clock. All those who are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Find a seat wherever you can, Gordon. Sorry, you're sort of toward the end of the agenda today, along with another entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Eric, meet Gordon. Gordon, meet Eric. Do we have any public comment for items that are not appearing on today's agenda? This would be the time for those comments. All right, don't see any. We have an action-packed agenda today. Are there any additions to the agenda? Commissioner Concepcion, Commissioner Dersham? All right, so now we will move to our meeting minutes from the Board of Commissioners meeting and work session held on May 23rd. Do we have any changes or alterations to those minutes? John?
Just a small change to one item in the minutes. There is a typo in the ordinance number for ordinance number 2. It's actually ordinance number 1. The ordinance was properly advertised as ordinance 1. It's been posted on our website and other places as ordinance 1. This is just a typographical error that was made. Now, typically ordinances don't even get a number until they're passed, and the action that was taken on this was merely for the advertising, so it is in no way actually tied to the passing of any type of ordinance at this point. So we would just like to have the minutes reflect ordinance 1 as it was advertised.
Any questions on that? If we could have a motion to approve the meeting minutes with the small change for the typo.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the meetings held on May 23rd, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we have two exciting proclamations this morning. Proclamation number 26, proclaiming the importance of gun violence prevention and supporting safe and secure firearm storage initiatives in Center County. And I think we have upwards of 3 people speaking on this. Eric, Samantha, and possibly our Sheriff, Brian Samsel. So I don't know who's starting off, but if you'd come to the podium and state your name and municipality and why this proclamation is important to you.
Sure. Hi, my name is Erin Garth. I live in Center County in Half Moon Township. I'm a mother of 2 vivacious young girls, a paraprofessional with the State College Area School District, and a volunteer with Be Smart, which is a program that promotes safe gun storage. On behalf of my co-lead for Be Smart, Carrie Gustafson, who couldn't be here today, and on behalf of all of our volunteers, I want to express our deep gratitude for passing this proclamation and recognizing the critical need for gun violence prevention. Everytown for Gun Safety maintains a database of unintentional shootings by children in the United States. In an analysis of the over 2,800 incidents that took place between 2015 and 2022, in which a child under the age of 18 unintentionally shot themselves or others, the data reveals the following. Nearly 1 child gains access to a loaded firearm and unintentionally shoots themselves or another or someone else every day in America. That's an average of 350 children a year. The victims of shootings by children are most often also children. More than 7 in 10 unintentional child shootings occur in or around homes, and nearly 1 in every 3 unintentional shooters were preschoolers. These are preventable tragedies. The Be Smart campaign was launched to raise awareness that secure gun storage, specifically storing guns locked, unloaded, and separate from ammunition, can save children's lives. Be Smart emphasizes that it's an adult responsibility to keep kids from accessing guns, and that every adult can play a role in keeping kids and communities safer. My co-lead, Carrie, sits on a subcommittee of the Center County Suicide Prevention Task Force called CASE, Creating a Safe Environment. This committee represents safe firearm storage as part of reducing suicides. In October of last year, the group put together 30 lethal means safety toolkits, which included gun locks, lethal means safety educational materials, the local county crisis phone number, and the Veterans Crisis Line number, as well as information on suicide rate from firearms within the Commonwealth. There was a total of 700 gun locks provided to various locations, which included local law enforcement, senior centers, mental health agencies, gun stores, and local VFW and American Legion posts within Center County. Safe and secure storage of guns as a means to prevent suicide is so critical because we know that firearms are used in half of all suicide deaths and that 90% of suicide attempts with a firearm are fatal. We also know that approximately 25% of those who attempt suicide deliberate for 5 minutes or less. Anything we can do that delays a suicidal person's access to firearms will help to save lives. So again, on behalf of the volunteers who are working so hard to spread the word that safe gun storage saves lives, we thank you for passing this proclamation today.
Thank you, Aaron. Samantha, would you like to say anything? It's okay if you're batting cleanup, Sheriff?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Samantha Bruno. I also live in Center County. I am the area director from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. No one takes their life for a single reason. We all have mental health just as we all have physical health. And conditions such as depression, anxiety, and substance use problems, especially when unaddressed, increase the risk of suicide. That risk is greater when a firearm is present and accessible in a home. Temporarily removing lethal means from someone who is suicidal greatly reduces the likelihood of that person dying by suicide because it gives at-risk individuals something they crucially need: time. Removing firearms and other lethal means from the equation allows time for both the moment of intense suicidal crisis to pass and for someone to intervene with mental health support and resources. AFSP endorses suicide prevention education as a basic tenet of firearm safety and responsible gun ownership. From practicing safe storage and the temporary removal of access to firearms when someone is at risk, to learning common risk factors and warning signs for suicide, there are simple actions we can all take to help save lives. In 2021, 55% of all suicide deaths in the U.S. were by a firearm. Of all firearm-related deaths, 54% are suicide deaths. 90% of suicide attempts with a firearm are fatal. Research shows that secure storage of guns reduces suicide risk. Secure storage means storing all of your guns unloaded and secured, such as locked with a cable or trigger lock, or in a gun safe. The best way to help protect a person in distress is to temporarily remove their access to lethal means, including firearms, until the person is no longer in a state of crisis. AFSP just wants to thank the commissioners for your support of safe firearm storage and suicide prevention and for this proclamation. Thank you.
Thanks, Samantha. Sheriff, anything else you'd like to
I
add?
will be a little briefer than
All right.
this. No, I'm on the case committee as well with Carrie Gustafson, and there's a group of us there. I joined this group for veteran suicide prevention awareness as well as Center County prevention awareness. So I'm in the group for a couple of different reasons. I support what we're doing. We have gun locks in our office. We hand out. People ask for them. We have a little sign on our window and they come get their license to carry. So we all probably issue 120, 140 locks already in the last 8 months, probably 9 months ago. So it's a program that helps. If we can help in any way, we're willing to do that. All new guns come with gun locks as provided by law now, but the ones we helped distribute to the local gun stores as well. So I'm here for veteran suicide and that's raise awareness for that as well. So that's one of the major things. We lose 22 veterans a day. So it's one thing I'm supporting of and the whole group. So that's all I have to say. So thank you. That's a great proclamation. They can get their picture.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff. Thanks for your concern for the community. Commissioner Concepcion, anything you'd like to add?
I'd just like to thank you for advocating on these issues. I think as new parents, we all learned how to baby-proof our homes, and this is just storing guns safely is just like storing prescription medications or household cleaning products or anything else that is not safe for your child to access. It's part of childproofing your home. Every responsible gun owner, just like any person who drives a car, needs to be aware of the safety considerations that you're responsible for as a gun owner. I think, the issues around gun violence prevention are really close to the mission of many of our county's departments in terms of human services, in terms of keeping kids safe, in terms of helping those with mental health needs. And this kind of awareness building is just really critical. We know that gun deaths are actually the leading cause of deaths for children under 18 in the United States. And a significant portion of those could be prevented with safe storage. So thanks for building awareness on this. And getting information out to families throughout our community is really critical. So thank you.
Commissioner Dershowitz.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is ever going to argue that safe gun storage makes sense, particularly when there are folks at risk, whether because of age or mental state. Last year I did a little show and tell of all the different some of the different types, but I would encourage, if you have any quantity of firearms, to consider some sort of locked cabinet or a safe. It does two things. First of all, it does provide security from maybe the little ones, but at the same time it secures them against theft, which is another big issue that keeping guns out of the hands of criminals is just as important, and I think that's another issue that this can address if done properly. So I think we need to look at this kind of at a 360-degree view and figure out how to keep our, not only our families safe, but keep society safe as well from the misuse of stolen firearms.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I think a couple of very important points have been raised. In the United States, basically a child shoots another child every single day through a firearm that they are able to find and accidentally discharge. And as you mentioned, I think it was 25% of individuals contemplate suicide for less than 5 minutes. And if there was a firearm instantly available that's loaded, you can take your life with that in well under 5 minutes. Whereas if the gun's locked up, the ammunition's in a different spot, it gives people a little more time to think, should I really be doing this? So very much appreciate what you're raising today. And unless there's any other discussion, I think we could move to a motion.
I will move to adopt Proclamation 26 of 2023.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting Proclamation number 26 of 2023, proclaiming the importance of gun violence prevention and supporting safe and secure firearm storage initiatives in Center County, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Could you come up for a quick photo? Right around the front here. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Maybe if the two of you could hold it there near the center of the map. You can take that with you.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, safe travels. Thank you.
And then our other exciting proclamation of the day is involving the American Philatelic Society, located just around the corner, a great neighbor here in Bellefonte, proclaiming the official dedication and opening of a Philatelic Memorial of the Holocaust exhibit. I believe Scott English is here to speak to that.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I'm Scott English. I'm the Executive Director of the American Philatelic Society. We have been a proud resident of Center County since 1946, when we opened our first central office in State College, and we have been in Bellefonte since 2004 at the Match Factory, and we've proudly rehabilitated the building, and we have many great tenants there along with ourselves. The issue I talk about today is a philatelic remembrance of the Holocaust. This project started at the Foxborough Regional Charter School in Foxborough, Massachusetts. We are an international organization. We have representatives in over 100 countries around the world, and one of the things that we do is educational outreach. So the project was to collect 11 million stamps to memorialize each victim of the Nazi regime, not just the Jewish folks who were executed, but everyone that was impacted by the Holocaust. And the project started in 2008, involving 5th through 12th graders at the charter school in Foxborough. We've supported the project, we advertised it, we made people aware of it, and as a result of that, they collected stamps from contributors from 48 of the 50 states, as well as from well over 48 countries around the world. So we're very proud of the impact we were able to do that. When the project finished and they needed to renovate their library, they asked for help. And so we said we'd take on the project. One of the things that the project did was that it had collages, art projects, things that were done with stamps as a peer-to-peer teaching tool so that students could understand the impact of the Holocaust in a lot of different ways. So we started with that, and then we added to it as well a lot of real material that was used, that was sent during the Holocaust, that were sent from ghettos in Poland, that were sent from concentration camps, both in Eastern Europe as well as in Nazi Germany itself. And the reason why we did that is because, if you look at a recent study that was done, there was a survey done about 3 years ago that said only 1 in 3 high school students today understand the Holocaust and the actual account that took place. The impact of the lives lost, the targeting of Jews specifically, as well as homosexuals, as well as, others that were targeted as well. And so our goal is to be not just education around the world, but also to be here in Center County. And so we took this exhibit, we built it, we had a lot of contributors to it. I know you have been invited to a dedication officially tomorrow night, as well as to we have an open house that will happen on June 11th so that all residents of Center County can come and see it in person. But we're open 5 days a week, and we've already had school groups come through there. The idea is that we use this as an education center as well. It's the first of many projects we've got going on related to history, not just in the United States or around the world, but also in Center County specifically. And we'd love to have your endorsement of it. We'd love to have a resolution commemorating it, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Well, Scott, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous facility, remodeled with extreme care and consideration. But could you mention the times of your 2 events for the news media very specifically?
Absolutely. So
in terms of, time range and exactly where you are.
We're going to have an invite only with Hillel and with some other groups from Penn State University tomorrow night. That's May 31st. That starts at 6 p.m. We'll have an open house on Sunday, June 11th, as part of a Believe It or Not stamp show that occurs in Bellefonte, and it's very well attended, so I hope you will come as well. And the hours for that are between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. At the Match Factory here in Bellefonte. That's 100 Match Factory Place. And we'd love to have as many people, residents from Center County, come and visit us during the open house and see for themselves, not just this exhibit, but all of the other things that we do for Center County here. We take pride in being a good corporate citizen, and we want to continue to be so.
Wonderful. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Concepcion. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to being able to see this tomorrow evening. This is just such an important project in terms of memory. And as the generation that experienced this and for whom this is living memory is now becoming more and more rare among us, to have these opportunities to see these representations. And through stamps and the mail, it's just a very interesting angle. It really makes it tangible. And so I'm certainly really looking forward to taking my own children there for them to experience this exhibit, and also, for myself to get to see as a student of history, this is really meaningful, and looking forward to seeing it. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
I
We
think
look forward to having you.
And the amount, we know over the past, 10 to 20 years, there's been an increase in ethnic conflict around the world, and this is a good reminder of how important it is to stand against hatred and ethnic violence. So, thank you.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
Well, I think this is an important topic, and I think I have not yet visited the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., but my family has, and it's a very powerful experience, and I would expect that this will be another example of exactly the education that I think people need to be reminded of in society. Growing up, I had friends who served in World War II that actually helped liberate some of the camps, and I've heard those stories, firsthand, and they're chilling. And I think, to forget about that measure of history in today's society would be a huge mistake. And I think we need to consider everything we can do to educate our young people that societies and cultures need to be protected. And this is a real example of one of those times where we can make that education real. So I applaud your efforts and hope you're very successful in getting the word out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks again, Scott. And so your big public event is June
June the 11th?
11th?
Yes, sir.
From, you said, was it 10 to 3?
10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Fabulous.
And, I mean, if I could just add one more element, I've had the fortune of meeting Holocaust survivors, both here as a member of the American Philatelic Society, but also my political career before this. And one of the amazing things is that all of them consistently said the same thing, which is they remained silent for a long period of time. And it was the Skokie case in the 1960s in Chicago that reawakened this need for them to communicate, and all of them became very outspoken about what they lived through and what they survived, not just for themselves, but also to carry on the memories of those who were lost. And we feel like we owe it as a debt to them that we can carry this message forward for them as we're starting to lose them.
Okay, well, thank you, Scott. I think we're ready for a motion at this point then.
I will move to adopt Proclamation 27 of 2023.
We have a motion and a second to adopt proclamation number 27 of 2023, proclaiming the official dedication and opening of a philatelic memorial of the Holocaust exhibit. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Come on up, Scott, and we'll present the proclamation. Oh, good. I've had a little practice.
I had to practice myself.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions from the press on the topic? No? All right. $11
million stamps, huh?
Wait till you see how we've got them displayed.
That ought to be interesting. Yeah, I would think. That'll be an exciting exhibit to observe.
Thank you.
Good, thanks. We'll move on to a couple of items before we go to another exciting item from planning. But right now we'll go to resolutions. Resolution number 8, I believe Phil will be addressing this one. Come on up, Phil.
Morning, my name's Phil Ho. I'm with the Highway Safety Network. We're headquartered in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. I work out of St. Mary's, Pennsylvania. And I'm here on behalf of the Highway Safety Network and Josh Woods, who is the Community Traffic Safety Project Coordinator. Unfortunately, he had other things scheduled for today that he was unable to attend, so I'm representing the company and Josh. Just a brief synopsis of this. The PennDOT District 2 Community Traffic Safety Project is a federally funded program through the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation with the County of Center and the Highway Safety Network. The project goal is to raise public awareness about traffic safety issues in the PennDOT District 2 counties of Cameron, Center, Clearfield, Clinton, Elk, McKean, Mifflin, and Juniata and Potter counties through education, support for targeted enforcement campaigns, and judicial support. CTSPs share 3 major areas of concern or focus areas that include aggressive driving, unbelted occupants, and impaired driving. Other topics include distracted driving, older drivers, younger drivers, child passenger safety, heavy trucks, motorcycle safety, pedestrian safety, work zone safety, and bicycle safety. The CTSP coordinator serves as a point of contact and traffic safety outreach and education advocate within your community and communities within PennDOT District 2. They provide support to reduce the number of traffic-related crashes, injuries, and deaths. The CTSP is available to assist with program development, training, coordination, or media events, and the acquisition of materials and equipment. Any of these can be focused directly to a community's specific traffic safety needs. And depending on how you want this for more information, I can go into some of the projects that he's done within Center County specifically, or,
Maybe if you have one really good one, yes.
one really good one.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's some focus areas. Community outreach education. He does car fit programs for older drivers at Geisinger 65 Ford in the State College. He's a car fit certified, whatever they do. Then there's an elementary outreach. And with that, he does school bus safety programs, like Young Scholar at the Young Scholars Charter School in Phillipsburg Elementary and the Penns Valley Elementary. There's a secondary outreach. He does impaired and distracted driving simulator at Bellefonte, Phillipsburg, Osceola State College High Schools. Distribution materials. He does, Clifford takes a walk books from Shannon Valley YMCA school. Earned media. He does radio interviews throughout the region on aggressive driving, distracted driving, buckle up, work zone, all within the Seven Mountains broadcast areas. He does social media, and this is way out of my zone because I do no
All right.
social media. Virtual content for educational programs called Sit Back Survival 101. The CTSPs out of our company have made YouTube presentations that can be used in the schools. So, and he assists with car seat checks. He's also a certified car seat technician. And he does trainings for the Sit Back Survival 101, 16 minutes for school resource officers, educators within the schools.
Great, well, thank you, Phil, appreciate that. We had the motorcycle community here, I think it was just last week, to talk about motorcycle safety. Unfortunately, we're all busy people. The car is usually the quickest way to get from point A to point B, but we all need to slow down. We all need to stop texting while we're driving because we could accidentally maim or kill someone. Commissioner Concepcion, anything you want to add?
Thank you.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
No, I think this is a program we supported in the past, and I think it's a good one. I attended a couple of years ago a program at Bellefonte High School. It was very well received by the students, and I think pretty effective. So happy to support it again.
Very good. We have a motion to adopt resolution number 8 then.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 8 of 2023.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 8 of 2023. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming and pitch hitting, Phil. Appreciate it. All right, now we have Julia to come up and talk about our Valentine Street houses demolition.
Good morning. I am asking for you to approve the contract with Earth Movers Unlimited for $28,477. The contract still needs, it is pending solicitor review, but I am asking for your approval for that contract. And it is to demolition the 2 single-family homes, 502 and 512 Valentine Street.
Thanks, Julia. And as I remember, both homes were deemed either completely unfixable or not worth the money to fix.
Correct.
Great, thanks. Any questions from Commissioner? Commissioner Dershowitz? No. Anything from the press? No? All right, can we have a motion that approve the contract with Earth Movers Unlimited, Inc. for $28,477 pending solicitor review?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Julia. All right, now for another exciting presentation from planning. I think Liz and Ray, you're supervising at this point, right? All right. she's our expert, and thank you for working so hard on this, Liz, because it's really important to the citizens of Center County.
Yeah, it is really important. So on April 25th, Center County released its RFP for broadband expansion. Of course, the purpose of that was to find a project and get a provider lined up for something that the county could support. So over the next 2 weeks in May, I met with a dozen different companies virtually, offering a different wealth of technology, was able to answer their questions and give them some feedback on what we were looking for. So the deadline closed on May 26th at 5 p.m., and the following submissions from the following companies were received. CenterWest Venture of Center Hall, PA, All Points Broadband Partners of Richmond, Virginia, Verizon Pennsylvania of Philadelphia, PA, Comcast Cable Communications of Philadelphia, PA, and Pavlov Media of Champaign, Illinois. All companies had the required attachments that we had asked of them. Today, we're going to start the deep dive in coordination with our broadband consultant, CTC and Technology, to start to go through these proposals. On the surface, they are very comprehensive. They average about 30 to 40 pages apiece. So these companies that have provided submissions have certainly done their due diligence. After we get through those evaluations, then we will come back to the board with our recommendation of which project or perhaps projects would be feasible in some manner that you could support. So at this time, I would ask that you would please enter into contract negotiations for the Center County Broadband Expansion RFP.
Thank you very much, Liz. Really appreciate that. This is a huge amount of work, and we appreciate other people in planning helping pick up a few of your items in the meantime. We've been working hard on this for years, and now it's finally come to fruition. The broadband expansion RFP revolves around a $200 million state grant funded by our state legislators, which we appreciate, funded by, I believe, the American Rescue Plan funding. And obviously, we'd like to get at least our fair share of that funding. And due to your work, we have 5 different companies giving us proposals, 4 of whom I've heard of before. Pavlov Media is new. Can you tell us anything about them?
They are a subsidiary of a CCG Fiber. And actually, the RFP got attention. There were probably half of the companies that reached out to Center County were not from Pennsylvania. But as you can see from the list, the majority are the incumbents that already operate here.
It's fabulous, and it's great to see that we've had such strong interest in providing broadband to our roughly 8,000 residences that are either pretty much unserved or drastically underserved throughout the county. Very much appreciate that. I'll hand it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, just to thank you for all of your work to get this done on a tight deadline. I think everyone who's following this issue may or may not be aware that we had been knowing that this window for grants was going to open, but we didn't know exactly when or what the guidelines were going to be. So Liz and her department had done a great deal of work to prepare for this grant opening opportunity, and by doing the broadband study so that we knew where our unserved and underserved addresses were, having that information has really enabled this process to move forward as well as it has, and to do so on some tight deadlines. So looking forward to seeing this move forward, and thank you for all your work. So.
Great comments, Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Dershowitz.
I guess I just have, my first question is, the action is suggesting that we go into contract negotiations. I guess the possibility exists that one or more of these entities may or may not be an appropriate fit for Center County until you go through the details and see what.
Yeah, you are correct. So this evaluation process, over the next 2 days, we're going to be looking at 6 points. The comprehensiveness, which these companies have demonstrated that they delivered on, the technical solution. Luckily, with the companies that responded, they are fiber to the home and cable, and that's what we were asking for. The wireless companies opted not to submit, but the funding is very clear, especially for the Capital Projects Fund. We, of course, are going to look at affordability. Do these companies offer those kind of packages for residents? And just kind of the overall vitality and what their experience is.
I guess my second question is, I guess the terminology of contract negotiations, what our role in this actually is, and whether or not are we a pass-through, or are we a willing participant in this project? I mean, where do we fit into the matrix of things here?
So what is the county's role? That's a really good question. No, the county at this point really isn't positioned to serve as the pass-through. We're really going to be the partner in this. And that, what that looks like, we don't know yet until we get into those proposals. The Broadband Development Authority has strongly suggested that any of these ISPs that want to move forward with an application, that they get themselves local government partners. So again, with the letters of support, things that the county can demonstrate and help backfill for these projects.
I think that's going to be before the actual contract negotiation stage. We need to figure out what our role moving forward is going to be in this process, both financially and contractually. That would be my thought.
So the next step for the Board of Commissioners is being part of this review process, correct? And then we'll
Yes. Yeah, I'm
have the
gonna
opportunity to interact with the municipalities where these projects may be located, to see about the level of support within those municipalities as well, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
To explain for the folks at home, I'm currently the president of our CEDACOG Regional Economic Development Group, and I'm one of only a select few commissioners across the state who serve on two County Commissioner Association of Pennsylvania policy committees, both agriculture and community and economic development, and I've worked hard to ensure that the commissioners statewide have made this a priority. And what's so valuable about what Liz is doing here is what the commissioners are able to offer during this particular grant round is broad. There are counties to the west of us near Pittsburgh that have formed joint county groups to actually provide the fiber direct to the home. Now, here in Center County, that's a bit of a heavy lift for us. We have one person who's working very hard on this, and to actually offer the services directly to our citizens, we're just not prepared for that. It's too much. We really would prefer to work with private sector partners. There is an option where some counties, they are simply doing a pass-through. You send us the grant proposals, we don't write letters of support, we don't check anything out, we don't vet anything, we don't provide any local match money, we just send it over to the state and wish you good luck. Center County's somewhere in the middle. We're going to work with these providers. They're going to use data that Liz worked so hard on starting all the way back in 2019 to prepare for. And the commissioners are going to say, we love most of these projects. We're going to write letters of support for most of these projects. And a couple of them are so important to us and are covering areas that perhaps don't have the population density of some of the other areas, that we might actually devote some of our own American Rescue Plan funding to provide the local match. Am I roughly describing that correctly, Liz?
Yeah, you are. And the other consideration for Center County's role as a supporting partner is, granted, we're the 5th largest county in the Commonwealth. That's our footprint in the middle of the state. Many of these providers that want to pursue the Capital Projects Fund, they have very large footprints statewide. So they could essentially consider Center County's support in this project in the larger picture of what their intentions are.
Great, thanks. Any questions from the press? I know, Gary, you've been following this for years.
Companies listed there that already have customers, CenterWest, Verizon, Comcast, do they necessarily have some type of advantage, or they don't?
They will have to be evaluated. That's if they come through, if they hit all the criteria that was laid out by CTC and they rank well, then they can certainly be considered. I wouldn't say that they would be favored because they are an incumbent. If they can prove to us that they fulfilled those requirements of the RFP, then they can seriously be considered and recommended.
Is there a timeline for this vetting process if it is approved and moving forward?
I would like to get my recommendations with CTC's assistant back to the commissioners. I believe it's this Friday, to have some more
Very tight.
to have some more discussion. Yes, it's moving very fast because the Capital Projects Fund deadline is July 10th. So we wanted to kind of get into that halfway point out of courtesy for these companies that want to pursue the funding.
Chances are we may have some questions for them. And we may say, we really like your project. Are you willing to commit to it without any local match? All right, you're going to need some local match. How much are you looking for? It's going to be potentially a couple of week negotiation process back and forth. Because thankfully, we're in a situation where we have a lot of proposals. I mean, Liz, you say we have somewhere between 150 and 200 pages of contractual language that we've got to work our way through.
In total, yes.
Liz, do you have any idea how nimble the contract negotiation process is going to be with some of these companies? Because these are some pretty big hitters here.
They are, yes, they are some.
Experience in the past is they usually don't move.
Yeah, they don't move at light speed, and I think this is probably a good situation where some of our technical assistance on the solicitor side in the background may be necessitated, because there could be some, I don't want to use the word sticking points, but there may be some sticking points. But I think if everybody, if the private and public sector, if they can work together and see what the better good is, that maybe those negotiations will go smoother than anticipated.
And then, of course, very fortunately, with this level of interest for the first round of major grants, hopefully we'll have a lot of interest for the second $300 million plus BEAD grant round coming up this winter, too. So fabulous work, Liz. Great to see so much progress. Great to see 5 companies very interested in working with the county and all the other local stakeholders to provide more broadband in Center County. This is fabulous.
Well, thank you.
Any additional comments, Commissioner Dershowitz? This is the culmination of things you've been working on for 4 years, Liz. 4 years. And now we have successful, it's not the final step.
It's not the culmination.
It's not the culmination. It's not, maybe not the final step, but thank you so much for the work you've done, and Ray and all of planning to tee us up well for this round of grants. Appreciate it. Great. I think we're ready to. Oh, any more questions from the press?
Is it
Yeah.
too early to say overall what this will do for customer internet service bills in Center County?
That I can't speak of. The Affordable Connectivity Program is still out there. It has not gotten a lot of people to sign up for it. The idea would be if another company can provide some competition in an area, that ideally just naturally would drive down prices. But otherwise, I don't know if anybody really has an idea of what that's going to look like.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. All right. Unless there's any other questions from the press, I think we're ready to take a motion.
So I will move to enter into contract negotiations for the Center County Broadband Expansion RFP.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of county government entering into contract negotiations for the Center County Broadband Expansion RFP, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Again, thank you so much, Liz. All right. I don't know if Jason is out in the hallway. Here to talk about an engagement letter with Plant Moran.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having me here today. This is just the engagement letter to continue to retain Plant Moran services during the 15-month implementation process of the new ERP system. And just to give you an idea, the maximum total of this contract is going to be $81,125 for this phase of the project. The first two phases of the project were originally budgeted at $177,000, but came in at $149,500. So we were under budget on the first two phases, and really that's a testament to the cooperation of all the departments and stakeholders here at the county, working through those initial first two phases, and the work performed in my office as well to get through those phases a little quicker and with a little less pain points than could sometimes come up during those two phases. So the third phase, this is really just the Plant Moran is going to serve as the advisory project manager, help both sides, Universe and the county, work through that project so that we come at the end successfully. And certainly, once the project is implemented, that contract will end. So if we're implemented prior to August, end of August next year, this will be less than what the $81,000.
Very well. Thank you, Jason, for bringing the first two phases in under budget, and I know we're looking like we'll bring this current phase in at close to, maybe even under budget. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Thanks. It seems like getting this new system in place is going to be a good step forward for our financial planning capabilities in the county, so.
Commissioner Dershowitz, any questions? I'm good. All right, we'll take a motion now.
I will move to approve the engagement letter with Plant Moran PLLC.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the engagement letter with Plant Moran do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, now, make sure we're moving to the right page here. I think, looks like we have Phil back up again. For planning and community development, looks like we're doing a joinder with some additional counties.
Correct. The CTSP project encompasses PennDOT District 2. Each one of the districts, PennDOT districts, has a community traffic safety project coordinator. And the counties in which PennDOT District 2, Center County, is part of consists of Center, Cameron, Clearfield, Clinton, Elk, Juniata, McKean, Mifflin, and Potter counties. And for those 9 counties within that district is where that funding will be spent with the projects that Josh Woods conducts for them.
Great, thanks. Thanks for the explanation. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion? Commissioner Dershowitz? Good. We'll take a motion now.
I will move to approve the contract with Highway Safety Network Incorporated.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the contract with the Highway Safety Network, Inc., do so by saying aye. 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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
All right, now Ray's already lined up to talk about an MOU for a small subdivision.
What are we building today?
Today we have a simple two-lot subdivision in Marion Township. In front of you have the memorandum of understanding for a final two-lot subdivision for David and Rachel Glick. This is 3/4 of a mile east of the village of Jacksonville, and it's accessed by a private drive which is going to be amended called High Valley Drive. So on the aerial photograph you can see the Glick property outlined in blue of approximately 76.46 acres. That will be subdivided to the right. You'll see a red line that curves into another property. That is High Valley Drive. This is the proposed subdivision plan for the Glicks. Lot 1, RB1 of 38.23 acres already has a single-family home and access drive off of High Valley Drive. Lot 1, RB2 is the subdivided property of 38.23 acres with soil testing, and that will also have access off of High Point Drive. This will be amended to add, I believe, 5,000 square feet of impervious coverage with a cul-de-sac. If you look at the current aerial photo at the top, the cul-de-sac is not in existence, but since we're going to have an additional property accessing that, that will need improvements and amended to their existing deed book and page number for the right-of-way. It's fairly simple today. That's our proposal.
We have two farm Yes. Used to be one. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion? Commissioner Dershowitz? All good? All right.
Thank you.
We'll take a motion.
I will move to add the MOU for the final plan two-lot subdivision of lands of David S. and Rachel L. Glick to next week's consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adding the MOU final plan for the two-lot subdivision, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Ray. Thank you. All right, we have a very short consent agenda today, unless there's any questions or concerns. Move forward with that.
I move to approve this week's consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second to approve this week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move to Commissioner Concepcion for a check run.
So this week's check run, I wanted to recognize a check that we have to Strawberry Fields. This is one of our really critical human service agencies the county partners with to provide services related to intellectual disabilities and early intervention services for young children. So with that, I would move to approve the check run dated May 26, 2023.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the May 26th check run, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now we're moving to our letters of support. We have two very important, very meaty letters of support today, both offered by local entrepreneurs. Always love to have the entrepreneurs here. I believe Gordon Kaufman is up first for a letter of support for an Appalachian Regional Commission grant application that would be used to help build the High Point Skate Park located in State College.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for this opportunity to be here today to talk to the Board of Commissioners. I'm here today. I live in the borough of State College, and I'm representing a group of volunteers and by default also the borough of State College, who's the applicant for this grant. And I'm here today to request a letter of support for the outdoor adventure, the High Point Outdoor Adventure Park grant application. This is an Appalachian Regional Commission grant that we're applying for, and it is vetted and I think shepherded through by the Department of Community and Economic Development. In addition to letters of support from elected officials, we're also going to be getting letters of support from local business owners specific to job creation and private investment in the community because of the park. So that's our two-pronged approach. Since this grant focuses on job creation, and we believe that this park, even though it wasn't designed to be a destination park, it's really a community park. We see this park becoming a destination for the community and being a tremendous asset. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Happy to see you here, Gordon, and Gordon is the owner of Bull City Brewing in Bullsburg. I was at your fine establishment multiple times this weekend, and at one point I saw you actually having to rearrange the bike rack because there were too many bikes on the bicycle rack. I'll also mention that Julie there in the green is with Senator Langerholt. This park is feet outside of his district in the borough, very close to the Ferguson Township line. But I'll pass it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
So I've been kind of following the process with this project for many years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. There's been a lot of people who've been pushing to have something like this in our community for a long time. Really happy to see this moving forward and getting some momentum. So really happy to support this. Yeah, and really have enjoyed your new establishment as well. Was there with my children over the weekend as well. So yeah, keep us in the loop so that we can help advocate for this in any way possible.
Great, thanks.
So.
You might have parked in your parking lot yesterday.
It was busy.
Yeah, you have a great place there.
Thank you.
You've done very well.
Appreciate it.
But that being aside, I really do support this project. This is going to be great and meaningful, and I think it'll be a game changer. And I think it's something our area could desperately use. So, good stuff.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, we're proud to say we've raised over $1 million thus far, And we believe that this grant could put us, to a point where we can schedule the design, the build out of the park, which would be scheduled for the summer of 2024.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I know we've had a lot of positive traction with the Harvest Fields Outdoor Adventure Park, and huge turnout for their ribbon cutting a couple of weekends ago. I know you were there too.
Yep.
But we'd just like to thank you and all the other entrepreneurs of Center County who are giving back to the community. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
I think it's like we've kind of are creating this ecosystem here that I think is, whether this park is a destination in and of itself, it's part of an ecosystem of outdoor recreation here in Center County that is just becoming really fruitful and
Yeah.
really exciting. So.
Yeah, we have a tremendous amount of momentum. In fact, tomorrow, the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau will be hosting their grant award announcement at Bull City Brewing. So we're really excited that those two are coming together. So, yeah.
Yeah, $840,000 of grants. Questions from the press on this letter of support?
I think the latest artist renderings we saw about a year ago on this. As you get more awareness, funding or whatever, are those plans still about the same, or are there changes kind of being made along the way?
So the most recent design has not been changed since the last, presentation of the design. And we decided to make sure that the design accommodated all of the potential users for the park, which will be skateboards, BMX, bikes, as well as scooters. And there had been some discussion about perhaps doing this in phases, but we wanted to make sure that we built the very best park for all those intended users. And currently, with the amount of money raised, which hopefully will include this grant award, we can build the park that we've always wanted to build. So the design's the same.
Thank you.
Great question, Gary. Any other questions from the press? No. All right. Well, thanks again, Gordon, and I think we're ready to take a motion.
I'll move to approve the letter of support for the grant application for High Point Skate Park.
We have a motion and a second to approve the letter of support for the American Regional Commission grant application for the High Point Skate and Outdoor Adventure Park. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks again, Gordon.
Appreciate it.
And now talking also about entrepreneurs helping the local community, if we could have Eric Roundtree come to the podium for a massive factory in Phillipsburg. And Julie, I will send this I'm assuming if I'm trying to get a hold of Senator Langell, will I send it to you for a letter of support on this? Great.
Yeah, there's a link on the website.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks. So Eric has a huge project for Phillipsburg that he'd like to talk to us about.
Well, thanks for having me here and for considering a letter of support. So I'm representing EC Power. I'm the head of EC Power, which is headquartered right here in State College. It was founded by one of the professors at Penn State University, Chiang Wang. And we are partnering with a company called Flux Power, which is a publicly traded company out of San Diego, California. So they currently produce batteries for lithium-ion powered forklifts and ground support equipment for airlines and different applications like that, and small buses, low speed buses and other lower voltage applications. They've filled out all of their capacity in California and looking to expand to the East Coast. And EC Power invented a new technology for lithium-ion batteries around 5 or 6 years ago. It made its public debut at the Winter Olympics last year and powered around 500 buses at the Winter Olympics. So we're very proud of that technology. That was the first generation. We've successfully developed the second generation and are finishing out the third now, which is what we intend to commercialize in this plant. We've been working on plans for about a year to make 200 megawatt hours of capacity of these types of batteries. And we've been working with the Department of Defense to generate customers for that, along with the material handling industry. And so Flux Power has tentatively agreed to buy all of that initial supply. And so we're coming together to form a consortium and build the facility together to manufacture both the cells, which is what EC Power's responsibility would be, and the battery packs that then power the equipment, which would be Flux Power's responsibility. And so we're going after funds that have been set aside by the federal government through the Building Infrastructure Law for clean and green energy. And so this particular application is for revitalizing communities that have been impacted by the energy transition, primarily coal. So the entire western side of Center County is a coal-affected area and has quite a few coal sites on it. And so it's a prime location to meet the mission of the federal money. And so we're going after $25 million from the federal government, which will be matched by $25 million from both EC Power and Flux Power to build that facility and supply 200 megawatt hours of capacity to the Department of Defense and the material handling industry. And so that would be a great thing for Center County. So the already, whether you know this or not, Penn State is one of the premier locations for batteries, and so they have quite a few professors focused on lithium-ion batteries at the university. But the majority of their students leave this county and go elsewhere, primarily to the West Coast, where you have some R&D firms developing batteries. So this is a great opportunity to retain that talent in Center County, and also to create around 100 to 150 high-paying manufacturing jobs. So.
Yeah, that was what I wanted you to finish with. That's perfect. So you're going after a $25 million federal grant. I believe you would possibly be the only factory of this type on the East Coast.
Not on the East Coast, but in the state of Pennsylvania, definitely, yes. So Pennsylvania is known for its lead-acid battery manufacturing, but actually, what we call the battery lithium-ion battery belt is being developed right now. It kind of starts in Georgia and goes up through Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, and then New York. And Pennsylvania has just been left out of this. And so this will be a great opportunity for Center County to stake the flag of this is where the center of lithium-ion batteries for our state. So it will be the first in the state.
And you also mentioned that this is the lithium-ion style battery, so it's cleaner from a manufacturing standpoint.
Yeah, the reason it's being adopted in the material handling industry everyone associates it with cars and cell phones, and the reason it's adopted there is because it's very lightweight. But for the material handling industry, its adoption is because it's cleaner. So currently, it's about a 50-50 split in that industry between internal combustion engines, so either propane or diesel fuel, and lead-acid batteries. And so the problem with, I think everyone's aware of the issues with powering it with internal combustion engines. It's all over the news. But you may be less aware that lead-acid batteries aren't the cleanest things, and they're also very dangerous to work with. And you have to, so when facilities operate their material handling with lead-acid batteries, they have to have an entire room devoted to those batteries where and an operator has to unload all those batteries every single shift and load them back on, and they have to do maintenance on them where they're rewatering them, adding new acid to them. So there's quite a lot of chemicals involved, whereas a lithium-ion battery goes on the forklift and it outlasts generally it outlasts the forklift itself, so it's then taken off after it's done, and it charges fast enough that they don't ever have to replace that. They just plug it in when they're using the bathroom and get back to work.
So this sounds like a situation where we're leveraging Penn State technology to create jobs here locally by working with local entrepreneurs.
Yeah, well, I would say Penn State talent. EC Power has been behind all of the technology that will be used in here, but Penn State talent definitely would be. We're keen on keeping it here for that reason.
Perfect. Well, let me hand it over to Commissioner Concepcion with any questions.
Yeah, so this is exciting as kind of a nerd about electrification and have been following some of the development of this for quite a few years in terms of EVs and being able to use electric power in these areas. And it seems like, especially when you're talking about an internal closed-in manufacturing setting, having a forklift that's running on battery power instead of combustion means you've got cleaner air for workers in those facilities.
Yeah, cleaner air for workers in the facilities, and most Fortune 500 companies have invested heavily in renewables. So when you're powering their material handling equipment with batteries, you're using an entirely renewable source, so it's much cleaner for the environment. The working environment and the environment as a whole, yeah.
So do you have a parcel of land in mind where you would potentially build?
We're still scoping that out. We've been working so EC Power already has a fabrication facility in the Moshannon Valley business park over there, the Shannon Valley Enterprise Center on Shady Lane Drive in Phillipsburg. And so we've been considering that area. I mean, that's what got us involved. Looking into this specific grant was finding out that we were eligible at that location to build out there. But we're still scoping out the exact location. On the Flux Power side, they really don't care where it goes. They just need an operating base out of the East Coast. So we're trying to leverage everything we have to keep it right here in Center County. Yeah.
I think this is, in terms of the kind of economic development planning that many of us who have been involved in those discussions at Center County, we've talked about the need to build our own capacity here, not just that we need to try to recruit in firms from the outside, but being able to build from local talent and entrepreneurs come in connection, who may have had connections with Penn State, had their education there, but then are ready to move on and do these kinds of things. It seems like really exciting project and really in line with the kind of strategic planning that's been happening around economic development in Center County. So excited.
Thank you. Commissioner Dershowitz, any questions?
To keep it real, just thank you for considering Center County, because I think it would be, well, first of all, I think it'd be fantastic if we keep all that manpower and all that education, within a few miles of a major research facility. But also, this is a big leap, and I'm sure you've considered all of the potential pitfalls that go with, starting a project of this size, and I have to applaud you for your courage. So
I appreciate that. I do want to make, so the way we think about this in terms of the battery world today, this is a fairly small project for batteries. And so this gives you the opportunity to possibly draw a big one later on.
Pretty big project to get started.
Yeah, but I just mean when you think about the economics of it, it's a small lithium-ion manufacturing facility. So, but we are very proud to bring it here and kind of stake our claim and showcase to the world the technologies that's been developed right here in Center County. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. It's Dr. Roundtree, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for coming. I know you've been in conversation with the commissioners now for about a year. And then you and I had coffee a little over a week ago, and you said, Mark, I need these things called letters of support. Can you help me out with it? And so in between meetings today, I'll be sending out a lot of requests to our state representatives, state senators. I'm already in conversation with G.T. Thompson's office. I know they contacted you over the weekend. They were working real hard on this, and we already have some positive traction with both U.S. Senators Casey and Fetterman's staffs as well. So,
well, we deeply appreciate all of your support. Being able to keep it here in Center County would be huge for EC Power to build out our R&D base here too as well.
Wonderful. Let's open it up for questions from the press.
Do you have a timetable for the project?
So it would start in the spring of next year, and it would run 3 years to build it out. So, that would be we would work from the back of the process. So we would kind of start with the pack manufacturing. So we would be able to bring cells from elsewhere and manufacture packs and start shipping those out at around the end of year 2. And then we would hopefully have the cells coming online at the end of year 3.
And you mentioned the number of employees projected?
So right now we're expecting around 100. It could be as high as 150. A lot of times it takes a little bit of a larger workforce to get these facilities off the ground.
So yeah, we would have however many construction personnel you would need to build a nearly $50 million manufacturing facility with all its equipment. And then as Dr. Roundtree mentioned, somewhere between 90 to 150 employees about 3 years out. Obviously manufacturing jobs pay well, great family-sustaining type workforce. And then, of course, you're going to be purchasing things locally and utilizing advertising firms and legal companies and buying all sorts of different products to help manufacture these fabulous batteries. I really hope we can get this because it'll be a win in every direction for Center County. Any additional questions, comments? No? All right, we'll take a
I'll
motion
move
on
to
that.
approve the letter of support for a grant proposal to establish a lithium-ion battery manufacturing facility in Center County.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of a letter of support for the grant proposal to establish a lithium-ion battery manufacturing facility in Center County, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks again, Eric. and
Thank you very
as
much.
those letters of support keep coming in, we'll keep staying in contact. Thanks. All right, John and Administrator's report.
Nothing to report at this time.
And Steve, move over to voter registration report. Do we have one? You're still probably pretty busy processing the results of the primary.
Probably next week.
All right. And the Board of Commissioners and Salary Board meetings for Thursday, June 1st of this week have been canceled. Do we have any executive sessions to report or hold, John?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
All right. And the remainder of our public meeting schedule is there is a Board of Elections meeting here today at 3 p.m. And then next week we have a commissioners meeting at 10 and a